Welcome into the Lounge, presented by DraftKings. I'm Ryan Mink here with Clifton Brown, and we are thrilled to sit down with Tyler Linderbaum. Tyler, I got to start here. So went to the pool yesterday, team outing, and in my opinion, you kind of won the dive contest. The back flop was pretty great. Tell us about your diving skills and your back flop skills, I suppose.
I don't know if there's any skill involved. Original plan was let's just try to do like a simple dive.
Yeah.
But, the boards are a little more bendy than what I'm used to.
Okay.
And a dive turned into a little momentum going a little too far forward and ended on my back. It was the last time I went off the diving board, so but it was fun. It was awesome experience to get all the guys there.
Yeah.
And obviously meet a legend in Michael Phelps. So it was cool.
It was one of those moments. The whole pool, the aquatic center was ooh. It was good. The guys had to give you a hard time about that one.
Yeah, it was funny. I mean, there's like a replay like every 20 seconds behind the diving board, and guys were giving me crap about it. It's funny. I didn't realize Kyle Van Noy was like videotaping from afar.
Yeah,
and he got it on camera, so it was cool.
It'll live on forever.
Yeah, live on forever, I guess.
Awesome.
Before the pool escapades, Michael Phelps was out there practice and afterwards spoke to you guys. What was that like, and what did you get out of that, his message, and, of course, Ray's message as well to you guys?
Yeah, I mean, obviously two legends. Having the opportunity for those two guys to speak to us is an awesome privilege. I think both of them kind of different stories, but kind of hit on the same thing. It's just the little details that go into what made them so great, their preparation. Obviously Phelps having 3 gold medals is unbelievable. And he talked about the differences in his races, 0.5 seconds is what kind of separated him. And that was stuff that happened way before, he stepped on the diving board or whatever he steps on.
Yeah.
It's the preparation that went into that. The mentality that he had is up to that moment right before the race, no one had outworked him. So just hearing guys like that talk is pretty awesome. And then, obviously Ray, just every time he speaks, he makes you like want to run through a brick wall. Just his passion, and the things that he says is really special.
Is it pretty neat as a guy who, you and Ray didn't overlap, obviously, to like be in that huddle? And I'm sure growing up, you probably saw his speeches as everybody did on YouTube or whatnot. Mm-hmm. And to like feel that in person, is it kind of like a little kid moment? Like, oh my God, yeah. I'm experiencing a Ray speech. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, absolutely. I mean, every time, he's talking, it just goes silent. Yeah. Just the things that he says, it just kind of hits home, and it's pretty special to have that ability.
Yeah. One thing I noticed about this team, and both those guys talked about the preparation and like doing everything you can every day. Mm-hmm. And honestly, just being around this team in training camp, like I feel that happening. I see it from leaders like yourself and Roquan and Marlon and Lamar and, so many guys go down the line of like, there's an intentionality and just like this, locked in is kind of the phrase that gets thrown around, but it does feel like it, especially this training camp. Do you get a sense of that like as part of the leadership group that you all have taken it upon yourselves to really kind of set the tone that way?
Yeah, I think, that's what the successful teams, it has to be like that. The leaders have to lead, and they have to be at their best, when the time's called upon. They got to lead by example. I think it's one way leading by example, just going out there and showing them younger guys how to do things, but also, pushing them and encourage them along the way. The more people we can have to get up to our standard and our level, the better the team's going to be.
Yeah. Is there any kind of difference that you sense this summer, after coming up short again? We've had like the best team in the league or close to it multiple years here now, and obviously haven't gotten to where we want to be, mm-hmm. right? Like, do you sense any kind of difference in the team's hunger or whatever it is like this summer?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you're not reaching your goals, especially the past 2 years. So I don't know if our approach has changed, but there's definitely a sense, like, all right, it's time.
Yeah.
Just the players that we have, the positions that, the skill positions, the linemen, we got all the tools. It's just about putting it together when the time comes.
Yeah.
I remember when you were drafted, there was a lot of talk about another former Raven, Marshall Yonder, who coming from Iowa, and I know you guys had taught. Iowa's had a slew of offensive linemen in NFL who've really panned out, of course, yourself included. If you had to put your finger on what are the things about an Iowa offensive line? Why is that an offensive line factory?
I think it starts with Coach Ferentz. Just he has an O-line background, who was an O-line coach, and anytime we're doing individual work, anytime we're doing team stuff, he's behind watching the O-line. And I think just the mentality that he brings, kind of the scheme structure is certainly helps O-linemen be successful at the next level. And, it's guys have done a good job in the league, but it's also just a mentality that coming from Iowa and going into the NFL, that certainly has helped.
In your game individually, I mean, obviously, back-to-back Pro Bowls, and you're playing at extremely high level, recognized as one of the best centers in the game. But I'm sure you look at yourself and say, yeah, I can still get better. When you watch the film, where do you look at and say, all right, like that's what I kind of want to improve on?
Yeah, I mean everything. Want to improve on everything. It's just the more reps you get, the more little details and critiques that you're going to have of yourself. Certainly you're going to be playing with more confidence from, let's say, when I was a rookie to now, but you really got to focus on the little details, and that's what makes the NFL so special is you're going against really, really good guys, and the little things is what's going to matter most, just like what we talked about with Phelps.
Right.
That's the stuff that you got to be detailed on and hone on your skills. Do
you feel like you're a longtime veteran at this point? Because, I mean, you stepped in, like when you got drafted, you were a starter immediately. I mean, first practice, all right, Linderbaum's the guy, right? And the center, because you have so many responsibilities, like you really have to be that leader and that anchor on the line. Do you feel now like, all right, I'm the seasoned vet, I
don't know. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy that I'm going to year 4.
Yeah.
Do I feel like a seasoned vet? No. But certainly just taking on, obviously more leadership roles in that O-line room.
Yeah.
I think is beneficial, but no, I operate as I always do from when I first got here to now, and helping anyone that needs help and asking questions. I never have all the answers. You can learn a lot from young guys also. So, I'm just thankful to be in the position that I am in, and just trying to continue to improve each and every day.
Speaking of details, I know training camp, the offensive line has spent a lot of time on cadence and being on the same page and not getting pre-snap penalties. How do you think that process is going? And just for fans, what about that process is more difficult than it looks?
I think it's just about discipline, being disciplined and, understanding, communicating your assignments, and then also, reiterating, understand the snap count. So, obviously there's been a few hiccups during this camp, but, I'm glad we're getting it out of the way now and then not carrying it over into the season.
Your relationship with Lamar, I mean, obviously he's the only quarterback you've played with. Every year as you guys are together more, how do you, I don't want to say it's easy because it's never, but how do you see the fact that you're going into another year with him being an advantage as opposed to when you were a rookie here and everything with him was new?
Yeah, I think it's, the more reps you get with each other, you kind of see the same things. I think, obviously the O-line and the quarterback have to be on the same page. I think that's definitely gotten better from year 1 to year 4 now. And, obviously, blocking for Lamar is special. There's a lot can go wrong, and he can make it right with how special he is. And, we have the opportunity to block for the best quarterback in the game. So we don't take that for granted. So we got to block our butts off for him.
Well, speaking of relationships, you and Pat McCary now down in Jacksonville, your guy. How weird is it? How weird is it not to have Pat next to you?
Yeah, it sucks. But obviously Pat helped me a lot from year 1 to obviously last year 3. But excited for him, getting the opportunity down in Jacksonville, and I know he's going to do well down there.
Yeah.
But just like next guy in mentality, and whoever's stepping in has to play their butts off.
Yeah, I do want to talk about some of the guys around you. And, Andrew Vorhees has stepped into that left guard spot, and it looks like he's just had a really solid summer, really strong training camp. What have you seen from Vorhees? He did, though. You did kind of throw him under the bus saying, he wasn't working out or whatever it was this offseason. When I know you two were here the whole time. So he has some beef to pick with you on that one. But what have you seen from Vorhees?
He's a guy that continues to get better and better. I think last year that was his first time back since a major knee injury.
Yeah.
Obviously then he hurt his ankle and just never really got the opportunity to get back into the game. But he continued to work his butt off during the season in practice. And then obviously just in the weight room, really honing in on getting stronger, working on his technique. And then, he's another guy that just asks questions all the time, which that's what you need to have. You need to be on the same page with your left tackle, with your center, and just having a bigger understanding of the game. And he's a student of the game. And I think, sky's the limit for him.
Yeah. And on your other side, Daniel Fa'alele, I know he's a guy who first time starting last year, had some ups and downs early in the year and then kind of just keeps getting better. And, he had a tough rep in the preseason game. And it just seems like for whatever reason, Daniel's like a lightning rod a little bit on social media. I know you're a huge social media guy and you're always on it, seeing everything.
Yes.
So I don't have to tell you this, but it honestly takes me. I end up defending Daniel a lot, and so I want you to do the same. Tell our listeners what Daniel's all about. What do you see from Daniel?
Yeah, I wouldn't let that one rep define the kind of season Daniel's going to have.
Yeah.
I'm really excited for him. I think he's put in the work, and I'm excited to see the things that he's going to do this year with all the other linemen. And one rep doesn't define us. It's a tough position, and things like that are going to happen. But we all see the work that he puts in outside of football and on the practice field. So, I think Daniel's going to have a tremendous year, and I think he's going to silence a lot of those haters.
Let's hope so.
Yes.
Another teammate I want to ask you about was Cory Bullock. Started at center first preseason game. I know that you were in the same room with him a lot. How have you seen him grow from last year? And I know you're a humble guy, but I'm sure you've tried to help him. What kind of things do you try and tell, particularly someone playing center, that you think can help them make the progress he's making?
Yeah, I'm super stoked for Cory. I think he's put himself in a great position. He plays the game the right way. He plays the game how you want an O-lineman to play: physical, tough, and he's a smart guy too. So he can, if anything happens, I'm totally comfortable with him going in at that position and playing at a high level. He's a guy that you just continues to work, continues to get better, and I'm excited for what's upcoming for Cory.
Your sense of humor, I think some people don't really know how much you like to kid around, and because you're so serious about your craft. But the locker room here with the Ravens seems like it's always, since you've been here, been a tight locker room, and you guys have a lot of fun together. Is there any part of that you think can help you guys get over the hump and the bonding that people always talk about and the chemistry? How important is that? Do you think that really is to what you guys are trying to do?
Yeah, I think it's huge. The cohesiveness of the units. I think it just kind of builds trust and belief in one another, building that camaraderie. It's one thing to go out and just practice with each other, but if you're not going to be talking to each other in the locker room or building those relationships, then do you really know your teammates? And I think we have a really good locker room in that aspect. Guys, care for each other, asking about each other, personal things, stuff like that. And I don't know, I think that's what you need in a team and for a team to be successful. But also, obviously, you got to put the work in.
So what happens when a member of the O-line leaves, like Pat? Is he cut out of the text chain, or how does that work?
Yeah, you got to kick him out.
You get zooted. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear it.
Yep. Move on to the next one.
I'm curious, what we were talking about leadership earlier and how the leaders of this team are doing just that. And there's a lot of guys who are going into contract years or up for extensions and all that stuff, yourself included, right? You, Travis. I don't have to name them all. There's a lot. Mm-hmm. And literally nobody's talking about it I mean, the answer's been the same from everybody. Like, we'll cross that bridge when we come to, but I'm focused on playing my best football this season. It's not like that everywhere. Like, all around the league, you're just constantly hearing about these guys who are holding in, holding out, whatever, going in front of reporters like us and saying, yeah, I just want to be paid fairly and whatever. Like, there's been none of that here.
Yeah. Why
is that?
I think it's just the guys we have in the locker room, like I just talked about, the characters. Just, if you want to get the team to where it needs to go, I think you need, to have everyone there in the building practicing and, stacking days and working towards your goal. And I think we have a lot of like-minded guys like that working on the craft and trying to get better and, try not to be a distraction for the team.
Right. Now, I'm sure I'm not going to get into money talk, but you'd like to be here a very long time, I would assume, because we'd like that as well.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. But, some things are out of your control, and all you can control is, how you come into this building and work, each and every day.
Yeah, awesome. Well, we're looking forward to it. It's going to be a fun season, man. Happy to have you as the anchor right up front. Yes, Thank you, Tyler.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to The Lounge. We're coming to you from the SeatGeek studio. We also want listeners to know that this week, the DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the Baltimore Ravens, has a limited time offer you won't want to miss. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use code FLOCK. New customers can get a deposit bonus of up to $1,000 only at DraftKings Sportsbook with promo code FLOCK. Please play responsibly, and for help, visit marylandgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER. Must be 21 or older to play. So great stuff from Tyler.
Yes.
Just a leader in every sense of the word for this team, and just honestly, like, one of my favorite dudes on the team. If you just want to chop it up with somebody in the locker room and chat with somebody, Tyler's a good bet. He's just a great dude.
Yeah, he says he doesn't feel like a seasoned vet, but he plays like one.
Yep.
And I think the way his teammates look at him, they view him in that way.
Mm-hmm.
And he talked about the importance of the center quarterback relationship. And yeah, I mean, you can see that growing every year. The Ravens, as they say, strong up the middle with those two guys. I think that they have a really chance now, a good chance, not largely because of the two, but they're part of the equation to me of this offense taking even another level in the third year with Ty Monk. And those are two pieces who've been together. When they walk to the line of scrimmage now, I think they're really on the same page more than they ever have been before, and that's important.
Yep. And I think that obviously it starts with the offensive line, right? And this year's offensive line, I think, has a chance to be really good. We got Lindy going into year 4. A lot of it's health. They were very healthy last year, so remaining healthy is a big component. But yeah, Lindy going into year 4, you re-sign Ronnie. Roger now in year 2, I think, is going to be even better. I really like what I've seen from Andrew Vorhees. And Fa'alele, I think he's going to have a much better season than fans think he's going to have. I think he's going to be a good player this year.
Right. Last training camp last year, what did we always hear? 3 new starters on the offensive line.
Yep.
Well, looks like there's going to be one probably, and that one was a starter.
Well, I was going to say, yeah, like Vorhees isn't technically even a new starter.
Exactly.
So
the cohesion, offensive linemen talk about all the time. The more you can keep the whole group together, the better. Well, they're back.
Yep.
And they're looking to do big things.
Yep. And, the Ravens' run game obviously was a huge component of last year's success, the best run game in the league. You got Derrick Henry going into year 2. I just think there's a lot of things going right on this offense right now. And Todd Monken has been very intentional about saying, look, we've got all these pieces back and we've got these great weapons and all this stuff, but like, we're the number 1 offense in the league, and you can't just say, we're going to be number 1 again. It doesn't happen like that, right? Like, nothing is guaranteed, and you have to start over, and I think that you hear the mindset, that kind of mindset echoed through Tyler Linderbaum of like, we got to do it again, and put in all the work and all those little things to get to where we want to be.
Yes, which is to be the last team standing. So when that's your goal and you know that you're good enough to do it, the little details and being better in any way you can can make the difference.
Yep, absolutely. Well, thank you to Tyler, and thank you to our listeners out there for tuning in. As always, you can reach us at thelounge@ravens.nfl.net. Make sure you're subscribed. Leave us a rating and review, and we will be back to you after the Ravens play their second preseason game in Dallas. Thanks for listening.